I am ready.
Are
There
we
you are
live?
here. All right, so I just want to share it.
Hey everyone, while Christopher's getting us on his pages, I'm Dr. Wendy Manchester Ibrahim, and I'm here with Christopher Johnson. And we wanted to come in and wish you a happy new year and let you know what we were up to in our busy last quarter of 2020 and what we're working on for you in 2021. And so, good morning, Christopher, when you're ready.
Good morning. I'm ready. I'm just figuring things out because my computer doesn't work the way that I want it to do. I have to copy the
Technology.
link. I have to copy and paste the link for it to share, which is crazy, but that's what I have to do. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
ready.
so it's
Hello,
a
everyone.
it's a blessing and a curse, technology is, but how great we've been able to connect through this pandemic when we can't be meeting face to face. Yeah, so we wanted to hop on today. We took a little bit of a break to do some strategizing and organizing and getting our heads in the right place over the last part of the year. But some of you who follow us may not be aware of some of the work that we've been doing together and some of the opportunities that we have coming up for you in these coming months. And so Christopher and I have been co-creating some experiences for people who are committed to stepping into this racial justice conversation in a new way, because we believe that the way we've been talking about it clearly hasn't been working, or we would have healed society by now.
True.
And so we're using a combination of my background as a healer and a social scientist, and Christopher's amazing racial empathy, leadership, and his poetry and his plays. So I'd love us, Christopher, to just kind of talk about what that experience has been like and what we've been doing with folks when we get them into our workshops and courses.
Before we get into that, I want to just talk about it's not the experience of what we're going through, because we all know it's not the goal is to get to a certain destination, and the actual treasure is the path. So before I even get to the path, I just want to say, like, the goals that we have achieved, just seeing the feedback we've received, and at the end of the workshops, to hear what people have to say about not seeing things differently, being able to um, uh, put into action, into practical use in their lives, the things that they're hearing in our work, and how they can, like, go back in their memory and see things and remember things that had happened, and then, as we explain these things to them, they're like, wow, oh, like those the goals have been, amazing. It's not the goal is not supposed to be the treasure. The treasure is supposed to be the path.
Right, right.
But for me, it was just like at the end of each one, and hearing, the feedback and what people had to say, that has been amazing and heart touching, and moving for me, because, as the artist, I create this work and get on stage and I can see it in people's faces, and then when I get off stage, I'm like a open nerve, and I don't want to talk to people,
Right.
so I don't ever get to hear the real feedback because I don't want to talk to people. And then now it's like I'm in this workshop, and what you do, like just being able to break down white supremacy, like in our workshops, and with the wheel and the emotional wheel, and so that they can connect with how they feel, and they can put into words how this work is affecting them. It's like, it's well thought, it's put together, it's the words are on point, and then sometimes the words are not on point because people are so emotionally riled up.
Yeah,
you know
yeah, yeah,
yeah, and it's just great, it's just great, that we're able to help people and move them along in their work, in their journey of trying to heal, this racial divide.
yeah,
So I just wanted to say, like that's been the biggest part of the experience for me, is the actual seeing the results of what it is we're doing,
yeah,
getting to see the end results, that what we're doing is working, and there's people out there, that's saying that if you reach your hand out, somebody will grab your hand. There'll be somebody to, to help you. And there's people out there with their hands out, and we got our hands out, and we're all connecting, and it's just good to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, so for folks who are hearing about this for the first time, the workshop we offered in the fall, I think we offered our first one the end of October. We offered it 7 different times. We had 50 people come through in our virtual space here. And the title of the workshop is Healing the Social Divide, Facing Our Collective Shadow. And so what we're really looking at is the symptom of social division, and then kind of what systems and realities are contributing to it. And one of the things that I'm most excited about that we were able to accomplish, like everybody's pretty zoomed out in 2020. And we have managed to create a space that's like super inviting and really authentic and very genuine. And people are really connected and sharing their feelings. So it's not just like a typical, oh, let me get out of in a Zoom meeting out of obligation. Like people are really showing up. And I've heard you say regularly, every time you share your poetry and then you get your guided responses back, like we really have people spend time with themselves and with each other to feel their reactions and have their experiences. And I have heard you say over and over again just how impactful it is for you to actually have people showing up and really listening. Like, that they're really listening. And when they're listening to you, they're really listening to themselves. And
Right.
I believe when people do that healing inside, we can start to do the healing outside in the community. So yeah, 50 people and counting, right?
And counting, and this is a new year, so hopefully, and we started off late in the year last year, so it wasn't like, it was 50 people for the whole year. It was 50 people starting off late. October, you said, right?
Yeah.
We started. So that means there's people see value in this work.
Yeah.
And that's important, that people see value in this work, because we see value in this work. That's why we're here. So
Right. Absolutely. And then the next thing we did, we offered kind of a deeper dive 3-week course where we had 3 separate meetings. And again, we used the same format where we did some education about the circumstances that we're living in from kind of a societal social science perspective, and then used Christopher's poetry performances to really evoke the emotional empathy and getting kind of more right brain and heart opening, and being able to really talk about all the kind of hard stuff. And we had 5 different people go through that deeper dive course. And we ended that with helping people really shift, like, okay, now that you have this knowing, now that you have this internal awareness about how you can impact or not impact social justice, what is it that you want to take out into the world, and how do you want to have an impact, as best we can in 3 short sessions. I would love to spend 10 months with people and help them be able to.
you know what was really awesome about that, was that we say they were short sessions. We planned them to be an hour and a half, but for some reason they always went longer, and it was almost as if like nobody wanted to leave. It's like we're doing these things, and we our first original sessions we planned for an hour, and it's the same thing. Then we was like, oh, you know what, well, maybe we should give it an hour and a half, and we do
Yeah.
it for an hour and a half, and it's the same thing. Then it goes into an hour 45 and 2 hours. We do these things, and people are just so engaged,
Right.
that they want to share their story. They want their opportunity to say, this is how it affected me, and this is what I've gone through, and this is where I know. And we always end up, running over time.
Right.
We run over
Right.
time. But I also want to state that we also, not only did we did 2 poems last time with that one, and we did one of the pieces from Invoice for Emotional Labor, which talks about my actual experience of what it's like being Black in America, walking down the street, and what I'm exposed to when I'm just walking down Westminster downtown Providence. So I just want to state that we did 2 poems, and then we did one. The poems are actually my experience as well, but the monologue from the play was a little bit longer than the poems.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to put that out there so that nobody gets get hit with a train from the side. They understand, like, we do poems, but then I also have a monologue in there that runs a little bit longer than the poem.
And I find that such a blessing that people get that kind of access to you, because I know a lot of us who are local in Rhode Island, we get to see you on stages and at PVD Fest and in places where you take up a lot of space. And there's I feel grateful every single week that we do this, that we get this intimate performance with you. And then we also get to give you feedback in real time and then hear how that impacts you, because a lot of the people that we attract to these courses and workshops are, white folks who really want to do the right thing. Some of them are maybe just waking up to racism. Some of them have been dealing with societal racism as best they can for a really long time, and they really want to, up their game. And they're realizing, like, to do that outside work, it takes some deliberate, dedicated time to do some inner reflection. And you have been so generous with your art to allow that to happen. And I think the people who have been in our courses just really appreciate that one-on-one time with you that people don't often get to get. From the Christopher Johnson, who's the guy on the
Christopher
stage.
Johnson show you on stage. I want to talk about that for a minute. It's a different kind of vulnerability to perform intimately like that. And because when I'm on stage, that kind of vulnerability that I have on stage, where I can do these works and be open and be out, that's more like a wall,
Right.
a wall of protection. It's vulnerability because I'm putting myself out there, but it's a wall of protection because there's so many people that I know I can't possibly talk to them all. In this intimate space that we do this in, this kind of vulnerability, I can actually be in contact with the audience, and it's more real to me because I have to sit there and I have to feel the impact of the words of these people who are directly talking to me. When you're on stage, nobody's directly talking to you. They're talking to this entity that they saw on stage performing, and it's
Right.
like that Christopher Johnson is a different Christopher Johnson than this Christopher Johnson, who I like. So as they're going through the feelings and the emotions that they're going through, I have to sit there and I have to feel it and I have to sit with it, and and that different kind of vulnerability that it is for me. I think that it's allowing me to soften up a little bit as well. I really,
Yeah.
how is it for you though? How is it for
How,
you?
how is it for me? So I had a vision of what I wanted this to look like, like the amount of emotional vulnerability I wanted to be able to contain in a virtual space. And I trust myself. I've done a lot of facilitation of groups and trainings, and I trust myself in live space to be able to read a room and create emotional safety and all those skills that I have as a professional facilitator. I was nervous when we first started because, one, you and I, had just started building trust, and I wasn't really sure how that was going to go and whether the vision was going to manifest. And then also my own trust of myself, I wasn't quite sure that I could create the container, I call it a container, in a virtual space, doing this level of emotional work with people. And from my perspective, I watched it sort of evolve over time, so that by the time we got to like the last three of them, there was a pretty predictable rhythm to our time together. And I could pretty much predict, I had gotten the time down, like I knew it was going to take exactly an hour and 15 minutes.
Right.
Um, I knew that I could invite people to be vulnerable, and that you were comfortable with me inviting you to be vulnerable. Like, you had to set some boundaries with me, like, don't have people give me feedback at the end or gratitude at the end. Like, okay, we're gonna do something different. But yeah, so it's been this evolution of trusting myself, trusting our relationship to do this work together, trusting the audience to be able to follow the process, and that my vision of what I thought was going to happen can actually happen. So now, as we're moving into the future and we're looking at designing kind of bigger projects with bigger groups of people, I feel really good about the foundation that we set for, okay, this is the rock solid foundation. Now we can expand from this. So I went from being kind of cautious and scared and uncertain to now feeling really confident that we have something special to offer and really excited to watch it expand. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch the expansion process.
Right.
It's the process is amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I should be logging and writing this. I should be journaling how this is progressing because it started off. It started off first in the cafe where we just met to have the conversation. Then we started meeting over at the What Cheer writing space, and that's when we were talking about developing the trust and everything to make this happen and developing the vision. And now we're getting to, we got to the point where at the end of the year we actually um, solidified and made the vision happen. And so now it's like, so where do we go? And seeing how the project is going to develop and grow. We some things that can I talk about one of the things that we have in the works, like the 25
sure.
words, the
Yeah.
25 words, like the vocabulary words. Just seeing how those vocabulary words are going to, people are going to take this course with us, and they're going to have a bigger understanding of the lexicon of racism. And I think, being that language is my thing, being that language is my thing. I think I can say that. Um, Being able to put something in somebody's hands so that they can sit and read and then put it in their head so that they can understand, so that when they see it in the street, they can know what it is exactly the moment it happens, and they have the language to say, hey, that we're not going to put up with those microaggressions here. Just
Right.
because a lot of the times the reason why racism, I feel, has progressed so much is because we didn't have the language to combat it. And now we're giving people tools to combat racism with the language. And
Right.
I think that, one of the irons in the fire, this being one of the irons in the fire, I think this is one that gets me really excited.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So we're working on an ebook that has sort of the top 25 terms that we have some have taken out of Christopher's works, his poems and his plays, but then some of it is sort of basic terminology that's getting tossed around in the racism conversations towards white people that kind of sometimes shut them down. Like white privilege and white guilt and white supremacy. People hear white supremacy and they're like, "Oh, that's not me." And what we're doing is taking the term white supremacy and we're being like, "Well, this is what the overt violent form of white supremacy looks like, but then there's all these layers underneath in the pyramid that support, our everyday ambivalence and then our microaggressions and all the different things." And we're taking that and breaking it apart so that people can then have the emotional intelligence. I've kind of started to break it down to three things. Like, people are developing the emotional intelligence, they're developing the vocabulary and the confidence to have the conversations. And then there's this sort of underneath it all, this kind of spiritual sort of respect, like in being able to look at each other as really, truly human. When we sit in a room with each other and we see each other's vulnerabilities, we get to see each other as really, truly human. And to me, that is the piece that is where the healing really needs to happen, because we're not seeing each other as human, or we wouldn't be
No,
having these
well,
issues
that's
that.
the whole thing. And we had this conversation. It's like when you see the police beating up a man or killing a man for having a broken tail light, or taking a child in school and body slamming her while she's sitting her desk. If you saw them as human, and when I say human, I don't mean like head, arm, legs, and a heart. That's an animal. When you see them as human, you see them as, this is your daughter, this is your brother, this is your uncle, this is your father. So you don't. So that's when we talk about seeing people as human, we're talking about seeing the divine and that spark of life, and then that separates us from dolphins and bears and things that you hunt and fish. And so I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. So as you can see, we're super excited about the work that we're doing. And so how we're doing this moving forward, we have the course as part of the Healing the Social Divide series. The 3-part course is called Excavating the Impacts of White Supremacy. And we are offering that starting on the 18th, which is Martin Luther King Day. We meet in the evenings. We learned an hour and a half is not enough, so we're going to have 2-hour meetings with a pee break. So we're going to be meeting from 6 to 8 Eastern time, and the landing page will be going up in the next couple of days so you can register. We're still piloting it, so we're keeping it very affordably priced because we're preparing to bring this work to larger organizations and corporations, so that we can impact more people. So, and then in terms of the workshop, the Healing the Social Divide, the short workshop, the hour and 15-minute one, we are now offering that to organizations and groups, so that if you want us to offer this to your faith group or
The
to your
501c3,
school, yeah.
the school.
So yeah, and again, we're offering that at a reasonable price. I mean, of course, we need to get compensated, but we also want to get out and impact as many people as we can. And so in the next few days, information about how to book us to work with your organization or to join the individual course that starts on the 18th. We would love to have you in there and in the room with us and doing the emotional labor with us.
I would almost suggest that if you haven't taken a course with us, that you take the one course with us before, so that you can see what it's like, so that you can, when you talk to your organization about bringing us in, you have the experience. I would really like to suggest that people come in and do this course with us first. Because I know, like, I've talked to a few people in a couple of different organizations, and then they want me to explain what it's like. And I have to explain what it's like from my side of the fence. And I think it might work a little bit better if you as an individual and you want to bring this to your organization, you come in and take the course first, and then you can explain what it's like from your side of the fence. So I can't explain what it's like from the other side of the fence.
Right.
I only know my part,
Right.
and I'm gonna sell it good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sell it good. I'm gonna put shoes on a snake, as they say. But I'd rather the real live experience come from the words to come from the person who has taken the course, as opposed to me trying to sell it. So I just want to suggest that if you have an organization that you think racial empathy work can be done with, that healing the social divide can be done with, and everything, come take the course, and then you'll be able to explain it better.
Great idea, Christopher. All right, so I think that's it for today. We are working on formalizing our Putting It Into Words podcast, so that we're in the behind the scenes recording and getting ready to launch our official season 1 of 12 episodes with some other people who are interviewing some other people who are doing some amazing work in this arena in the world.
Can we talk about that for a minute?
Absolutely.
We have met some amazing people. Sister Hermana from Detroit.
We met Alexis from Detroit and Berhinda.
Berhinda from Detroit.
And
so Berhinda from Detroit. The other colleague that you have, who I'm now friends with on Facebook and I follow, you just did a thing with her, right?
Oh, yes, with Cheryl. Yeah,
Cheryl.
we did a thing yesterday talking about anti-Muslim sentiment around the world. So yeah, that was really great. We had Pamela on too, who's
Yes.
the Unity
We
consultant.
brought Big Lux, who was doing the violinist, who's doing a thing down in is it Wakefield, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
So
We have your Max, who's doing the abolitionist.
Maximus Parthis has come and talked with us with the abolitionist, and he put, because he's my brother, he put me on the spot, and and then I turned around and put him on the spot. So it's not all technical work that we're doing here. A lot of it is we're talking to our family members about things that we want to talk to our family members about.
Right.
And I think that that's our podcast. So if you're not coming in to see our workshops, if you check out the podcast, you pretty much still get the family vibe that we're giving off. Yeah, the trusting vibe that we're giving off.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is so good. All right, well, thank you, Christopher, and thank you everyone who's been watching us. If you've been in here with us, I'd love you to drop a hello in the comments so that we know you were here. And we, right now, because we're doing so much behind the scenes stuff, we don't have a consistent schedule with going live, but we'll be popping in here and letting you know what's up as new things pop up for you to be here with us.
We are working on the structure. You will see us again. Trust me on that.
Yes.
Trust us on that. And thank you for showing up, and for the people who showed up on the watch party, and I appreciate all of the people on the watch party that showed up. Y'all are good friends of mine. Well, I have nothing else to say. Happy New Year.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Happy New Year. Have a great day. Bye-bye.